mindset is an understanding of what runs you. What do the emotions mean? Where do they come from? Understanding this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking, and then being willing to implement tools, hands-on tools that can help you change that. If you feel like you're stuck in a rut, the way the mind works, it heads down a path, just like watering your garden. You put the hose at the start and the water goes down and waters all the plants along the way. It's the same thing with our mind. We've developed these pathways. Wait for that thought. How can I change it without being fakey? Without just shoving it under the rug, without just saying, oh, it's going to be a good day. It's a great day. I'm going to be all right. Everything's okay. And your voice inside your head is going, no, it's not.
Passion, inspiration, determination. Are you ready to jump into a better life? Welcome to our program, Jump Into. Welcome to Jump Into It, a podcast and live show to help entrepreneurial women jump into a better life. Today, we have our very exciting guest, Stromme, who is going to talk to you about the journey of a personal mindset and also her discoveries and unvelations around becoming a woman entrepreneur and how she's helped many other women be successful in what they enjoy to do. So before I introduce PJ Stromme, I also want to introduce Anita Booth, who is going to join us as part of the conversation. So BJ Stromme, thank you again for joining Jump Into It.
Well, thank you very much for the invite. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Yes, it is. So, we've got a lot of questions that we want to delve into. And before we get into it, maybe you can give our audience a little bit of an overview about who you are and a little bit about where you are in your career right now.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I started out a career. I was in banking for 10 years. You learn customer service. You learn how to deal with people. You learn how to do your job, get to work. And somewhere along in there, I was actually invited to a direct sales party. I don't know about the rest of you, but I never wanted to go. Had my arm twisted to go to a Tupperware party or a crystal party or a one candle party. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to go because I'm broke all the time anyway. But I went and I fell in love with my skin. So I spent 40 years in that industry, just really learning. Can I make sure somebody feels heard and seen and valued and not sold to? So how can I help them feel good about themselves? And I loved it. It's been a lot of fun. And along the way, I decided these skill sets that I've developed that have helped me have over 3,000 clients and over 200 team members and leaders, promoting, 12, 14 leaders in the industry. I thought, what can I do with this to take it to a bigger world? And I sat down with a really good friend of mine and I said, what is the number one thing that really has helped me be successful all these years? What do I love and what do I want to take to the market? What do I want to take to other people? And I thought, you know what? It's mindset. It really is. It's mindset. Not that it's always been an easy journey. Don't get me wrong. It's been an interesting journey and I'll share any of that you want me to, but I realized that mindset was the foundation of everything that had got me where I was. And it was the foundation of what I wanted to develop another company with. So I created a coaching company that I could take all of these skill sets that I developed over 40 years and I could help any entrepreneur that was struggling or that was ready for something new or didn't know really where they wanted to go. And that's where I developed Pop Mindset, the Power of Your Personal Mindset. That's where I'm at today, just working with women primarily and a few really good men.
And, mindset is a big word, right? So can you break it down for audience? What do you mean by mindset? Like, what are the successful elements that define a good mindset or the right mindset?
I think the start of mindset is really just being willing to delve in and understand how your conscious and your unconscious mind work. Because we're not taught this when we're young. We're not taught that we might do something, but we're thinking something else. We're not taught that the unconscious mind is really what runs us. So mindset is an understanding, first of all, of what runs you. You know, what do the emotions mean? Where do they come from? Not necessarily digging all the way back into something that needs some deep therapy, but just understanding this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking, this is where it's coming from. And then being willing to implement tools, hands-on tools that can help you change that. So if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, you know, people will say, oh, I'm just stuck in a rut. Well, it's true because that's the way the mind works. You have a thought, it heads down a path, just like watering your garden. You know, I tell people you got this little ditch in your garden, you know, you put the hose at the start and the water goes down and waters all the plants along the way. It's the same thing with our mind. We've developed these pathways. And when we understand how that works and we're willing to go, wait, I don't want to water that row of plants anymore. I don't want to water that thought anymore. How can I change it without being fakey, without just shoving it under the rug, without just saying, oh, it's going to be a good day. It's a great day. I'm going to be all right. Everything's okay. And your voice inside your head is going, and no, it's not. You just went through whatever, and this feels like a crappy day. So that's mindset to me, is that understanding, taking on some tools, and being willing to look at how do I understand myself and how do I switch things around so that I authentically can enjoy my life and get myself back in a good spot. Does that make sense?
And what would be some of those tools? Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Anita.
No, that's I was gonna actually say that, but I was also gonna ask around the mindset, of somebody's, super successful, and I'm sure you've had the opportunity to, coach, various types of individuals and businesses by the sounds of it. And there's books I assume that talk a lot about what successful mindset is. What does that look like to you, having a successful mindset?
Number one, I think it's you have to identify for yourself, what does success mean to you? Because it's different for every single person. For one person, it might be a level of financial security. Another one, it might be time freedom. Another one, it might be health. I mean, success for each person is individual. So that's the first step. Figure out what success means to you, and then start looking for the resources that support what you need to achieve that level of success and really feel like, okay, I'm on my way. And another little thing to put in there is everything we do is not an end result. So success is not a goal. Success is a journey, and it changes all the time. So be willing to know that
That's
you're on
true.
a journey. You know,
Right.
you're not going to arrive at a destination. You're going to achieve something and then set a new goal. Does that make sense?
I mean, so much of our society is about achieving that goal. So much of our society, the emphasis is on that, that achievement, that benchmark, that, reaching that, the house, the car, the bank account, like all of these key. It's not about journey. I think when you say it's a journey, it frustrates people because they want an actual tangible thing that they can just say, yeah, I did it. And that equates to success and not a journey, because a journey is something that's very fluid and keeps changing all the time. And you can't, and it's like water, you can't hold on to it. So,
True.
how do you respond to that?
Well, if you think about it, even in your own personal life, each one of us that are listening to this or tapping in, if you've reached an accomplished level of success, let's say something really simple for everybody, they're like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay. I mean, that is like across the board, everybody's been there once or twice, right? And then they lose it. And your brain automatically goes looking for it again, because that's how our brains are wired. If you lost your coat as a little kid, your mom's going to say, we'll go find it, right? So even though you technically achieved that level of success, as soon as it doesn't stay, you're going to start to feel discouraged. You're going to feel sad. You're going to take away the joy of having accomplished whatever that level of success was and start beating yourself up again. So that's why I say it's a journey, and that we need to celebrate each little step along the way that's toward whatever your ultimate life goal is. So setting goals that are like, I want to live a healthy, time freedom, wealth freedom, joy-filled life. Okay, what does that look like? Each day it might be a little different. Today it might feel good. Tomorrow I'm like, oh, I think I need to do a little more in this area to achieve that level of joy. That's what I think it means to be the difference between a solid goal that you're shooting for and that goal that's going to move, because every goal moves. Every goal moves.
And you have
I
a
have
question.
a
I have a question,
question.
but go ahead, Anita.
Well, as you say things, BJ, it strikes other thoughts in my mind. And, you said about joy and happiness. Do you think that we're meant to be happy all the time? I have this conversation often, mostly with my young sons that are, just in their early building age. And it's a hard one with, I think, nowadays to feel happy and what happiness is. And sometimes they don't like my response. Like, I'm thinking, you know, you're not going to have joy every minute of the day. I just don't think that that's what we're here to be, is happy every moment. I think we're meant to be, happy and sad and frustrated, and I'm curious what a coach would say to that, because I feel that I give that advice and then somebody else says it and says, who told you that advice? Well, I think it's not something that you can maintain 24 hours a day. That I don't think that's a realistic expectation. So I know we're diverging a little bit, but because you said when you feel joy, that it reminded me of that conversation. So I certainly would like your perspective on it.
That is a great question, and it's a real question, because anyone who tells you that you should be joyful or happy all the time probably isn't really connected to what you're going through. There's a difference between being happy, being joyful, being content, and being at peace. Each of those can be a little bit different. We as humans are always going to, hopefully, experience every range of emotion. That's why we're human. To really understand all of those emotions, when you have experienced everything from despair all the way to bliss, you're far more capable to be empathetic with someone else who's feeling despair, or celebrate with them when they're feeling bliss. There's a thing called the emotional scale, and I teach it in my classes. It's absolutely cool. I learned it from Dana Wilde, by the way. If you really want a very good positive mindset place, Dana Wilde is it. But the emotional scale shows you how, if you can just move yourself from one emotion to the next one, you can move up the scale to where you can be happy, hopeful, knowing. And I think the number one goal that I would, not even a goal, the number one emotion that I would pray everyone can at least get to is hope. Because if in your emotions you have no hope, that's when we've lost you, or we're at risk of losing you. And I speak from experience. So I think that's the number one thing, to just be able to say to anyone who is feeling discouraged or sad, if you understand the emotional scale, you can see where they're at with either anger or frustration. And maybe you can help them say, well, would you like to feel a little differently? What can we do? And sometimes it's a physical activity that needs to release some adrenaline. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's talking. But moving from one point on the emotional scale to the next one is the easiest way to keep yourself balanced, at least balanced, so that you can function.
I like that. Balanced. That's a
Yeah,
better word, right?
yeah, that's a better word, because they say that your the greatest gifts are people that give you a lot of problems in your life, because it helps you to move forward.
Well, yeah, kind of like saying the Lord won't give you more than you can hold on your plate. Well, sometimes the plate feels awfully overloaded.
It's
So you
true.
don't necessarily need all of those people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a whole other conversation around that. Maybe we can explore that. So Anita alluded to you earlier is around the obstacles that you faced in your life to get to the point of having the right mindset. And you were mentioning about tools that help you stay on track. Can you walk through some of the obstacles you faced and how you dealt with it, and maybe how you've applied the mindset or the power of the mindset in order to overcome those obstacles, if that's indeed how you did it?
Sure, absolutely. Um, as I was developing my business as a direct seller, of course, then you're looking at how do I reach people? How do I book? How do I sell? How do I sponsor or recruit? And so I went looking for those tools. And some of the tools that came along were learning how to reframe what I'm saying in my head, because the story always starts in the head. There's a story going on in the head, and it creates an emotion in the body. I learned to reframe through something called transitory statements, which are fabulous. I also learned about tapping, which is emotional freedom technique. Very, very powerful, to be able to help you release the, the pent up energy, cortisol that's in your
Mhm.
amygdala anyway.
I've heard
Um,
about the tapping. You found that
Yeah.
that worked for
oh
you?
man, life-saving,
The
Anita.
face?
Yeah.
Is it the tapping of the
Uh-huh.
face and
Well, it's a
or
whole
all
Yes.
over, right?
series. It's a whole series. And if anyone is wondering what that does, it helps you release the hormone, the cortisol hormone that floods the amygdala part of your brain anytime you go into fight, flight, or freeze. And that can happen in a conversation. That can happen with the text. That can happen with somebody pulling in front of you in the, traffic. That can happen anytime. And when we understand that we're most of the time not in danger, we need to, fight or flight, it's probably more of a freeze action that's happening, then it's a powerful tool for physically helping you release that. So then your creative brain comes into gear and gives you a solution, which is fabulous. So those are two really powerful ones: transitory statements, tapping. I also use a timeline journey, a journey timeline, which is really powerful. Got some great books that I use. And communication is another key element to that. So the book that I have that I wrote is called Are You My Flock? Because birds of a feather flock together. And it is a major tool in helping anyone that I work with understand who their clients are, who their family is, who their prospect is, so that they can move into speaking that language. No different than if you went to another country for 6 months and you wanted to learn a little of the language so you could, find the bathroom or get a drink of water, or, call a taxi. It's exactly the same. You never change who you are, but it's a tool to help you understand, oh, this is how I speak. This is how people probably perceive me in these other flocks. And this is the language I need to kind of move into to speak to this other flock so that they hear me and we're both on the same page. So those are some of the most powerful tools that I work with. Another one is
So
called
BJ,
Positive Prime. Sorry, go ahead, Anita.
can before to go back to transitory statements, can you explain a little bit more of what that is? Are those affirmations or?
No, it's a way of changing how you say something. So let's say that if I met the two of you, and we were at lunch together, and you walked in and I'm like, oh my gosh, Gabriela, those shoes are so cute, but I would never wear them. What did you just hear me say?
I would never wear them.
Right, but I told you they're so cute. But your brain
Well,
didn't.
it eliminates the first statement, the second statement. It's
Exactly.
like blah blah blah, but blah 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 blah.
Exactly.
However, right?
Yep. So when we know that that's how the brain works, we use that to our
Yeah.
benefit. So instead, I would say, oh, Gabriella, I could never wear those shoes, but they are so cute. Now, what did you hear?
They're so cute.
Does that feel
That's
better?
very interesting. I like it. I like
It's
it.
more positive.
Okay,
And
so a
instead of
transit,
like you're your unique person, I'm a unique person, and but I appreciate you for who you are and your taste.
There you go. So a transitory statement is a formula. You state the problem. So this is where we're not shoving it under the rug. So you state the problem in whatever language you want to state the problem. And then you add the word but, and then you add a statement on the end that is positive, present tense, 50% believable. And you say it over and over and over. Every time you have a problem, you say it over and over and over. And it changes the way that you think about it. And it also begins to take the power out of the original thought, the original concern.
So you say positive, 50% believable. Why is it only 50% believable?
Because if I were to say to you, or to myself, if I were to say, I never have enough money, or let me do this one. I never have enough money, but today I bought a ticket and I'm going to win the lottery. What's your conscious brain going to tell you?
It's not going to happen.
Right. Good luck. Hasn't happened yet. I'll see you on the other side. Right. So if it's not 50% believable, your conscious brain steps right in and corrects you. That negative Nelly that goes, I don't think so. But if it's at least 50% believable, then your brain goes, well, okay, maybe. All right. Well, let me see what happens. And it has to be in the present tense. So I can't say, I am going on a diet and today, or I am going to go on a diet and I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Your brain goes, okay, tell me when you're done. Right? There's no positive today. Your brain doesn't have anything to work with to say, okay, today, let me support you in that. Although if I said, I really would like to be healthier. So today, I am excited about choosing healthy food that makes me feel good. Then every time I go to reach for something, my brain's going to go, healthy food that feels good. Okay, healthy food that feels good, right? It's today, it's positive, it's present tense, 50% believable, and in a positive mindset. So that's your formula, and it works when you work with it, when you use it. Is that helpful?
That's a manifestation tool I recall hearing as well, right? Don't put, if you're manifesting something and you have to believe that it can happen. If it's so far out there, then you go back to you just revert back to that negative, you're happy for the day thinking it's going to work, and then of course the realness of it sets in because it's too grand. It's not believable.
It's not 50% believable.
It's not 50%. So at least if you're going to manifest, make it 50% believable.
That's right. There you go.
It's a good first thought, right?
Yes. Very interesting. Okay, so we got the transitory statements, we've got the tapping, and what was the third?
I do timeline.
The other two?
Timeline is
timeline. Okay.
Yeah, timeline. It's a technique that works really well, like for grief therapy or just for reviewing why we do what we do. It's something that's really powerful. Is to kind of review the highs and the lows in a timeline, and then there's some steps to take, through that to either work with something that's a low or work with something that's a high to reframe it. But timeline is a good one.
Can you explain a little bit more what you mean by that? So is that like a journal? Is that writing a journal?
No, not really. It's more of if you took a big piece of paper and you started with the first memory that you have, and you went to the current day and then divided it into, some kind of tab so that you have a time frame. And then on that line, put a line between the two. And to the best of your memory, when you have a memory that is strongly negative, is charged with a lot of emotion, then you're going to put that on the bottom. Put the time frame, put it what happened. The same thing with the positive ones. And then you can kind of see the ups and downs and the lows and highs in your life. And you might see a theme. You might see a theme that's happening in these events in your life that were emotionally charged and didn't feel good, didn't go right. And that's where you start to do the work, either with someone, with a coach, with a counselor, with a therapist if needed, to understand your emotions around that event and find a way to release the pain. Find a way to rewrite it. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but there are ways through counseling, through therapy, through coaching that can help you release some of that negative energies. And one of them can be that transitory statement, when something happens, that helps you start to see it in a different way. And so that you don't hold it in your being. You don't hold on to that negativity. You don't hold on to that sorrow in the same way. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it doesn't have as big of a punch. Does that make sense?
Very
Mhm,
interesting.
mhm.
So with those timelines, you could possibly uncover a resurface common pain where situations activate in a similar way that it's recreated over and over again.
Yeah, it's called triggers.
Triggers,
If
yes.
we have
Yeah.
been conditioned, maybe when we were young, we had something happen and we interpreted it with our young brain, with those emotions. And then we've carried that particular thing through our life. When we can step back and go, wait a minute, I'm interpreting this same trigger from the emotions of a 6-year-old. Can I reframe it? Can I revisit this in a safe way and find a way to, reframe it and take the power out?
Wow,
DJ,
that's really powerful.
is this something that you've started with yourself? Can you take us back to how you developed this? I'm assuming you sat in a place where somebody, maybe a coach, mentored you in a tough time. Is that how you brought this forward into your career and wanting to bring it to others?
You mean the whole pop mindset itself or just the
Well,
timeline?
all of it. You've gotten into this area that is helping people reframe their minds, and we're talking about trauma. And so I'm wondering if you yourself experienced something that allowed you to utilize these techniques to get you into a more happier phase and become more successful. I assume that some of it might have happened to you, or you've used these
Well,
tools personally yourself.
yeah, you
I
know how
think she's
life is.
asking for examples.
Okay.
No,
Well,
I'm
this
just
is a hard
wondering.
one. If you want it, this is a hard one, but I'll share with you some of the things that happened that made me want to change. The company that I was in had a major computer change, and that's where I went, wait, I need to do more than one thing. So that was one of the first things that happened. And that's when I started looking and using the transitory statements. And along there came the tapping to help me know that I could do this. I was a single mom raising my kids. I was divorced. And so there's a lot of pressure and a lot of fear that can go with that. And so tapping really helped me get through that. Tapping really helped me have a way to release that fear and take it out of my brain. So I've hung on to that for a long, long time. And that was one of the main things that I worked with as I built my business to keep me from getting fearful or wrapped up in having to do things the same way everybody else does. My business has been going for quite a while, and both my kids helped me build the Are You My Flock website and Are You My Flock book. In 2019, my son took his life. He was in a bad spot. And when I say, if you lose
Sorry to
hope,
hear.
that's where we
All right,
lose
yeah.
you. And all of these tools had to come back on board because there's such a difference between saying, here I am today, but my boy's gone, right? Or saying, my boy's gone, but I know he's not in pain. So there's a transitory statement. I can start to hang on to hope, right? And then the journey really was something that came from a grief counselor. And she was kind enough to bless me with the book. And it took me 6 months before I was ever able to dig into the book because it's too hard.
Yeah.
It's a hole and it doesn't go away. It gets less deep. You don't get washed out to the ocean quite so quickly, but we're not supposed to lose our kids.
No, I'm
Right.
so sorry to hear that. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry to hear that. And I have a son, we both have sons, and
Yeah, we both have
they
boys. So.
struggle. The young men of today, I feel it is a struggle. So I can very much empathize with you, and nobody wants to lose a son. So I can
Yeah.
appreciate that you've found some tools to help you get through. I know that's a hard thing. So kudos on you to continue to push forward and bring hope to others, which I think is beautiful and
Yeah.
amazing. So thank you
Yeah.
for that.
So there's how I use the tools, and that's why I understand some of the pain that my clients go through, whether it's communication issues, whether it's relationship issues, whether it's work issues, self-esteem issues. They just need somebody that hears them, sees them, and can give them hope and tools. And that's what I love to do.
Love it.
Do you do your coaching virtually or in person? How do you find your clients? More of the business side of it, if people want to get into coaching, like maybe you can talk a little bit about how you built your business.
Right. Okay. So I would say networking is the #1 tool. And I always did a lot of networking. I was down in the Oregon, Washington area, and I attended a lot of networking. And one of the things I do differently, and I taught this, and in fact, it's on my website. It's called the Building Your Network or Building Your Resources. And I would get together with someone if we were at a meeting in person. Gabriella, I would come up to you and say, Gabriella, I would really love to get to know you better so that when I meet someone that I can introduce you to, I know what to say. I know what you want me to say. So they can't wait to get a hold of you, and they send you a message and say, Gabriella, BJ said we have to get together. Can you and I sit down for a cup of coffee? What would you say?
Yes.
Are you putting me on the spot?
I am. There you are. You're on the spot. Gabriella, would you come to coffee with me?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, our business is really about helping businesses grow and building a strategy and the tactics that are going to enable them to reach their next level in their business, whether it's at the beginning stages or at the mid growth stages of their business. So yeah, so we work with them just like you. We first listen to where they're at before we jump into any solutions or so it's really about collaboration. It's a partnership in how we can work together to get them to the next phase in their business.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I did a lot of networking, just like you are doing your podcast. I met a lot of people. I have a resource notebook that is huge after all of these years. And at this point, I network only online because I now live, and I could show you where I live. I live in Southeast Alaska off grid.
Wow.
Because now they have the internet. You wouldn't be able to.
Well, let you have a
she's gonna show us. Let's see.
peek
Okay. All right.
of where I live.
So what is it? 24-hour daylight time now?
No, I'm not that far up north. That's way up north. This is my backyard, ladies and gentlemen, and whoever's watching. This is my backyard. We do retreats up here. We do entrepreneurial retreats and family retreats. We have our own boat, and there's small cruises into these small little bays. But anyway, that's where I'm at. So most of my networking, all my networking right now is online. My coaching is online. That's my book. And I will go back to your screen because this is our time together, and I do not want to take away from it.
Very nice. Yeah. Well, I'm actually from up north myself. I'm from Thunder Bay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I can appreciate nature more and the connection with nature. And I mean, I'm very fortunate that I have that world. Now I live in Toronto, and I love Toronto too. So, but I do have a yard, and I recreate sort of that connection that I had when I was a child with nature. And that love doesn't go away.
Right.
And nature, as you know, is very, very healing to be,
Very.
and keeps you grounded, it keeps you balanced,
Yep.
it really helps you to gain an appreciation, a connection that you can't get walking down a busy sidewalk down Yonge Street, Toronto, right? So
You're so right, Daniela. So right. Oh,
oh, Michelle
Michelle's in
Lermet says
Toronto.
hi. She's
Hi,
Nice.
in Toronto
Michelle.
too. Hi there.
Nice.
Very nice.
Very nice.
And so over your years, BJ, was there somebody that you relied on? You sounded like you had a couple of people in your lives that was there one person that inspired you to go down this path, or somebody you still rely on to help you through some difficult times or some mindset issues? I mean, we all have them, even as a coach. I imagine you run into your own. You have days where you too have to think, oh, I got to reframe my mindset, or I could use a little boost from my coach friend.
Yep, absolutely. So the first one, of course, was somebody that I absolutely love. Her name is Jackie Geisinger, and she's in the direct sales business. She's a regional sales development manager, and she was my coach in that company. And then I reached outside of that company and I started training with Danny Johnson. Amazing entrepreneur. She no longer is doing the business, but she influenced me in a huge way. When I started working with her as an outside coach, my commission check doubled. So working with a coach is so valuable. They really can point out small changes, mindset changes, self-esteem, communication changes that can really make a difference. And now I work with Dana Wild, who has a Positive Mindset Entrepreneurs Club, which is fabulous. There's so many great tools and techniques and a community there. And I also work with Positive Prime, which is an online application that helps you retrain your brain through images and sayings and your own pictures to really keep you in the state of mind that helps you be happy. Because when we're happy, quite honestly, I want to work with people who are happy. And when we're happy, we attract our ideal client, right? When we're feeling good about something, when you're excited about a program, a product, or whatever, people can't help but go, oh, really? Tell me more. When you're desperate, desperation breeds hesitation. So when you're desperate, people will automatically kind of go, you let me know when it works, right? So those are the trainers that I would highly recommend, in addition to myself, because I pull all of that together, in addition to both of you, because we are all here to help someone make a difference, move forward, have the support and encouragement they need without the push and the guilt and the shove. That's me.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Avoidance of pain is not exactly a goal for joy.
No, but having to dive right into it just to face it is also not necessary in a hard way. So often we've been told, get over your fears. You're told to concentrate on what you're not good at and get better at it. That's not my
Yeah.
take. My take is,
No.
what are you already good at? What do you know?
hmm
And how can
hmm
we gently reframe? How can we gently get rid of the fears and the anxieties and the triggers? Because there are ways to do that without dragging yourself over the shredder again.
I think that in our society now, anxiety is just at its peak, right? I don't think COVID has helped us to be a calmer, more compassionate society. I think it's made us more fearful and more inward in dealing with their demons. So it's really important. So people like you, BJ, are more needed in our society than ever before, is how I feel.
Well, good. I'm
Yeah.
in the right place.
You're at the right place. Absolutely. I'm very interested in this positive prime. I'm going to have to take a look at it. So you're saying that images actually conjure up a different mood. Like if you walk in nature, they would generate a different mood. Like they say, if you meditate, you visualize something, it's going to conjure up a different mood. So
Yep.
I guess that it must play into tapping into that part of the brain that's going to get you all juiced up in a positive way. So that's very cool. That's very
It's
cool.
very cool. If you'd like, I'll send you
Yeah.
a link.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll share it with everyone too
Okay.
as well. That's fantastic. Anita, do you have any other questions? I know we're coming up to the time.
Uh, Maybe you can just share one of your positive mindset tricks or something for entrepreneurial women who want to jump into a better frame of mind. What's one thing that you would say, you do every day, or you would encourage somebody to do?
Well, I have 5 pennies that I do every morning. It's a little thing I do. I have this little container on my desk, and in there are 5 coins. Actually, I upped it to dimes because they're worth more than pennies. But it's a reminder. When I get up, I set my intention before I get out of bed. And that's not the to-do list. That's laying there and going, this is a good day. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to be here. I know I can make a difference. There's only one me, right? I'm here for a reason. Today, maybe I will make a difference for one person. Today, I'm going to do my best. So that's number one. Number two is high five myself in the mirror. And that's a Mel Robbins thing. Because there's something pretty crazy about high fiving. And it really does raise your mood. It really does change things. And we never do it for ourselves because it feels weird, but I high five. The third thing is I journal a little bit. I sit down, I write what I'm grateful for, what I want, what my goals are. Just takes maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Fourth is positive prime, because that shifts my brain. And there's a million sessions in there. Everything from writing your own book to forgiveness to cellular healing. There's a million of them. So I pick one. And then fifth, of course, I put on my face. I get ready for the day. And when I have all of that, then my little coins are right there and my day is ready to rock and roll. So that's what I would encourage you. Find some habits that feel good, that encourage you to start your day, because when you start your day right, it's amazing how well the entire day goes. Just getting up in the morning, your feet hit the floor and you're like, that's going to be your whole day.
Absolutely. I've also heard that making your bed.
Yep.
It's
so
like,
you don't climb back in
you're
it.
getting ready. I know it sounds big, but it was when I was really down and I had to go through this divorce. They said, start making your bed. And that was the first thing I did. It was a task to help me to say the day is begun. I'm not going to crawl back in the bed and put the cover of my head and just,
That's great.
right?
Yep.
I was going to get up there and move forward. So those were the fantastic, or doing some yoga stretching, meditation. Those are also things that I do as well. Pray. Perfect. I mean, we all, we can mix up the 5 coins, I guess.
Absolutely. Pick what resonates for you, what makes you feel good. That's the number one thing. Feel good first, then take action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, BJ. I really appreciated hearing all these tips. I'm sure our audience will as well. Where can people reach out? I know you have a website. If you just want to reiterate it for the audience, that would be great.
You can reach me at popmindset.com. And I offer complimentary 15-minute laser brainstorming or coaching session where we can just chat and bat around some ideas and see if I have a resource for you, or some encouragement, or a program or a book, anything to help you really be able to feel good about being the entrepreneur that you are meant to be.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, BJ Stromme, for being our guest and sharing some very insightful and really useful tactics on how to overcome some of the challenges that we face every single day. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to take a few of those things to heart, maybe give you a ringy dingy after.
I would love to have a conversation with both of you. So thank you. It is my honor to be here today. Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Fantastic. So next time we'll have another fabulous guest whose journey is sure to inspire us. To learn more about Jump Into It, join our Facebook group. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're also able to listen to our Jump Into podcast on your favorite platform. We're available on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple TV, to name a few. With the courage and knowledge to bring your ideas into life, get ready to jump into it. Thank you for listening.
Get ready to jump into it.